Okay, tell me about some weird events in your life.
People staring, people but you don't care.
When my family and I would go to the beach, I'd get up early in the morning, take a run, walk on the beach a little bit, come back about 10 or 11 o'clock and sleep in a hammock for an hour or so. And this was a typical day, and so I came back from everything and laid out in the hammock, and about 20 minutes into my sleep, my mother wakes me up. I said, Mom, I'm asleep. Why did you wake me up? And she said, I don't know. You don't know why you woke me up? And she said, no. Well, why don't you come inside and have something to eat? You have to know this about Southern people. It's all about food. So if you don't have anything to do, just eat. So I got up, and I took 2 steps away from the hammock, and a branch about this big fell where my head was on the hammock and knocked the hammock to the ground. I would have been dead if my mother hadn't come out and gotten me. I was 17 years old working at a radio station when a man held a loaded, cocked pistol to my head. I think this guy was a little and his commercials were screwing up on the radio. And because somebody else hadn't done their job, he thought that I was doing it. And the next thing I know, he's got a gun. He's here, the console is here, and he holds the gun right here next to my temple. And he says, we're not going to have problems with my commercials anymore, are we? The first thing that went through my mind is, I'm going to need a mop to clean all this up. To quote the National Lampoon Radio Hour, you can't argue with a sick mind, so don't try. So I told the man, no, your commercials will never malfunction on the air again. He took the gun away from my head, he slowly released the hammer, and he walked out the door. It never entered my mind that that could be my last interaction on the planet. Usually if somebody holds a loaded gun to your head, you'll say, okay, this is it, it's all over. I never thought about it. I was strangled at a Let's Find Jesus meeting at a church. I was a pretty good kid. I didn't cause anybody any problems, but at this time, my dad was fighting for his life in a hospital. My mom was running the business. She had her hands full. So a bunch of the guys at school, some of the older kids, kind of put me under their wing and took care of me. They used to have youth meetings all the time back in the 70s. They said, we're going to church. Bill, why don't you go with us? Now you have to understand, in the 70s, drugs were everywhere. The reason they were everywhere is nobody knew that they would really screw you up. So people tried anything. I know you want to know, I'll answer the question right now. No, I've never done a drug a day in my life. I did get tipsy once when this really large guy in science broke wind. So there we are, we're at this meeting and I'm having a great time and I'm enjoying it. Everybody's really friendly. You know, at a church meeting, they have to be friendly. So I'm sitting here and right behind me is a young lady. So I'm enjoying all the fun music and they're telling me how bad I am and I'm going to hell. Unbeknownst to myself, this young lady has done some extracurricular medication that evening. So I'm listening, having a real good time. Suddenly, she freaks out, lunges forward, and grabs me around the neck. They literally had to pry her hands from my neck. About 4 guys wrestled her to the floor and they took her away in an ambulance. And then the minister says, we're gonna pray for her.
What do you mean you're gonna pray for her? I'm the one that had her hands around my neck the last half hour.